Welcome to Homicide the Podcast, Homotown Murders. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Brandon.
And you are listening to our Homotown Murder
Yay.
special.
Because if you haven't had enough of us once a week, now you get to
Now
listen
you get
to
us
us talk twice a week.
Sometimes twice a week.
Yeah, sometimes.
Which is exciting. So this is actually not technically our first Homotown Murder, but it is now. And so we're excited to do this one. It was sent in actually by my adopted sister, Breanne.
Hey, Breanne.
Which, hey girl, which happens to actually be from the same town that I killed the rooster in. Berthoud.
Berthoud, Colorado.
No, R.I.P. Rooster. Anyway, so this will be an interesting one. So I'll read this one. But Brandon's actually been to this town several times as well. It's an interesting place. But anyway, sent in by my adopted sister, Breanne. And I'm going to just read this. So just remember, if you have a Homotown murder, which we all do, send that into our email, murder@homocidepodcast.com. Basically, you do the research and we read it on...
Yeah, we read and react. So we'll see how these goes. They should be fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I have these little hairs on my microphone that I just...
I know we need to get like a lint.
It's from our
roller.
cat cage. She just has hair everywhere. Ugh. Anyway. Okay. Homotown Murder. We have Anna here as well. Anna, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Great.
Ready.
Ooh, I feel like I have to be right at the microphone in order to do it.
Oh, I just tried to
Right?
whisper something and it didn't.
And it
even
didn't pick it up. But if we do it, like the acting whisper where you're on stage and they're like, you're whispering, but actually you're talking fully loud, but you're doing it like this. Yeah, that's always fun. Anyway, we should do an episode all like that. But also, we should do them in voices like this, where we talk slower.
Sensual Homotown murders.
The way you said murder is great. Wait, Brandon, didn't somebody just tell us that you do, what was that thing?
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so our niece just told us that one of her friends, so we're calling you out, whoever you are, I'm not sure who you are,
Yeah, she didn't tell us who it was.
said that I have crispy R's. Have you heard of crispy R's?
Yes, and you do.
Does he really?
I do.
I don't hear it.
I didn't notice.
What does that mean?
It just means like a really like a
Strong.
strong.
I emphasize my R's.
Yar.
Yar.
R.
I need to listen to it more. I'm just used to your voice, I think.
It's like when someone. It's the difference between being like crap and like crap.
Yes.
So say rodeo.
Rodeo.
Oh, I see it.
It's like
He's
like
like,
Trixie Mattel has like a little video where he's talking about crispy R's and he's like crispy cream.
Oh, yeah. He did.
He said it was really funny.
We watched it because I'm like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you. Now I'm going to be thinking about my crispy R's from here on out. So whoever you were, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And what about, well, it wasn't me. I don't know why I said you're welcome. But didn't you used to have a hard time saying asparagus too? Because you said
Oh, I
it's so
did.
gay
Well,
or something?
when I started to speak, I had a really bad speech impediment. I couldn't really say a lot of different letters. And it's really funny because the only person who could understand me was my sister. So growing up, my mom had to be like, Val, what did he just say? And it's really funny because if you look at old home like videos of us as children, you could hear my mom saying, Val, what did he say? Because I couldn't say anything. So I had to go to the speech pathologist before I was even in like kindergarten.
A what?
Speech pathologist.
Speech.
Shut up. So that
Just
adds
kidding.
into my messing up words is because I could feel it in my mouth that I want to say something, but it I'll say things weird. So I remember at one point in high school I got made fun of because I would emphasize the S's in asparagus. So I consciously, anytime I say asparagus, I try not to be too much because they called me gay and I got self-conscious.
I think that this is
and I think I
actually-
just was like asparagus.
Spare. No, I kind of have the S's too. I think most gay men are like, yeah, yeah, that's like this S. There is a documentary though, remember that? About like gay men and their voice. I can't remember what it's called though. But they basically go over like a gay man's discomfort with how gay they can sound.
Is that the one with Neil Patrick Harris?
I don't know.
I remember some documentary where I
Can't
feel like
remember.
he talks
It was
about
like a lower budget, I think. One,
Okay,
but it was really good.
Yeah.
In general, but because I think a lot of gay men go through that. Because there's even times where I'm like, ugh, don't be so gay.
Yeah.
and try to butch this shit up, especially when if I'm acting or auditioning for a role that's not a gay man.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Right.
you know.
So now I have crispy R's, sassy S's.
You're just Brandon. There you go.
It's me.
You're Brandon.
You're welcome.
All right, let's dive.
I was
into
trying to be
this.
funny, but there was only one R in your welcome.
Oh my God. All right. So, Homotown Murder by Breanne. Okay. She says, I was lucky enough to have a stable childhood, geographically anyway, as we did not move around a lot. I will save the emotional turmoil for another email. And if we've already dived into my experience as an adopted boy, this was my adopted sister, this was her biological parents that I was adopted into their family.
I'm sorry, Breanne.
We've heard of some stories from me. She had it rough too. So, at some point, I mean, I think that prior to adoption, and prior to like everything that happened, it was actually, I think, pretty great. And I will tell you, as much as I kind of shit on my adopted mom, because she's not my favorite human at this point in my life, I really did love her. Well, at one point, like when I met her, she was just.
I mean, she did show you love to a degree.
She did, yeah. And there was a time in our life where she was like awesome and incredible and took a chance on me. So I'll always be thankful for that.
On me.
Yes, but at this point, I wish she would have left me in foster care. Which is awful. But that I know. The year that I got adopted, though, was an incredible year.
Yeah.
Like it was. I think it actually helped to shape who I am as a human now.
Oh, probably.
Because I got to see some stability and love for a little bit of my life, which I thought was great. So anyway, but this is her biological parents. So my adopted sister, Breanne. And we're the same age for like 2 months. And she's a little bit older than me. But anyway, let me read through this. I was lucky enough to have a stable childhood, geographically anyway, as we did not move around a lot. I will save the emotional turmoil for another email. As a result, there are a couple cities I believe I could consider my hometown. That being said, it is the small hick town of Berthoud, Colorado.
I love that she called it a hick town because I grew up in a very, very small town as well in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And Kevin and I have tried to compare our towns to say who's the smallest one.
Yeah.
And I love that she called it a hick town because Berthoud is actually like not that tiny.
It's not, but comparatively with the
other towns in
cities
Colorado,
that geographic location, it is quite small.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But let's compare them though. Because Berthoud has like a main street. There's a high school. We have 2 elementary schools and a middle school. But it was pretty big. But my graduating class of high school was like 130, I think.
Yeah.
Or something, which is actually still significant.
Yeah, it is.
But there was one grocery store,
See, we just had a small, tiny grocery store.
So did we. Hayes Market is what I think it's what it's called. And then we had an A&W, which was delicious. We've stopped there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, there's like one bank.
Yeah.
It's not, it's
I mean,
not a
but
lot,
you
but it
have
was
like
big
the
enough.
downtown area where like Main
We have,
Street
like, a
where there's like
downtown
coffee
strip.
shops and these little things.
Well,
Our main
now-
street had just like abandoned buildings and a Dunkin' Donuts and a McDonald's. That's all
Well, we did not have a Dunkin' or McDonald's. So,
Okay, we're not doing this. I already won the Hicktown
right,
conversation.
all right. Okay. That being said, it is the small hick town of Berthoud, Colorado, where I attended both junior and high school, and is where I feel I did the majority of my growing up. Totally agree. So, in Colorado, when you say you are from Berthoud, most people immediately think of an absolutely terrifying mountain pass just outside of the Winter Park Ski Resort, Berthoud Pass, which is not Berthoud, Colorado. So she's right though. Whenever you say, "Oh, I grew up in Berthoud," people are like, "What? Berthoud Pass?" And you're like, "Oh my god." No, it is a town between Longmont and Loveland, Colorado, not too far from Fort Collins. So, and
And that's northern Colorado for people
northern
who don't
Colorado.
know.
Yeah, it's like right at the foot. Well, there's a big highway that stretches actually outside of Colorado, but it's I-25, which goes north-south, and then there's I-70, which goes east-west, and they're both very large interstates. We were like at the foothills, not too far from I-25 by Carter Lake, and again in between, Loveland, Longmont. So, anyway, thank goodness for me, she says, and my absolute fear of heights. The town of I don't know that I knew that. I don't know that I knew she was afraid of heights. Oh,
The more you know.
look at that! I learned something about you, Breanne. All right. The town of Berthoud is actually located about 30 miles north of Denver and has an overwhelming population of just over 5,000 people. When I graduated from Berthoud High School back in the early 2000s. So she graduated in 2003. I graduated in 2004 from Berthoud High School. So this quaint and small town was rocked to its core on June 9th of 2006 when Ashley Doolittle, who had just graduated from Berthoud High School and celebrated her 18th birthday, did not return home as expected.
Oh my God, I love her storytelling so far.
Too, Breanne. I don't know.
We'll have to have her on an episode.
We
one
do
day.
need to. Family members found her seemingly abandoned car at Lon Hagler Reservoir. I don't even know where that is. That's actually, I think, up by Carter Lake. Where they knew she had gone to meet her ex-boyfriend, Tanner Flores. Ashley and Tanner had been dating for a year when Ashley decided to end their relationship, leaving Flores reportedly distraught up to their ill-fated meeting that evening. Not knowing where their son may be and concerned with his well-being as well, Flores' grandmother called a neighbor in Breanne, Colorado, don't know where that is, who she knew to own property next to that of Flores' deceased great-grandfather. The neighbor reported seeing Flores' white Dodge truck at the family property, and this information was quickly passed along to police. Speaking of police,
Right.
do you hear that?
It's very
That
ominous.
was edited in by me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's always so ominous to like hear that as
It
you're
is.
reading a murder.
We're literally in our apartment on the Upper West Side of New York City, so that is why you just hear all these sorts of lovely New York sounds. But this story is far from New York. Okay, so where were we? The neighbor reported seeing Flores' white Dodge truck at the family property, and this information was quickly passed to the police, as I said. So police and SWAT quickly responded to the property, where they found Flores walking back and forth between the property home and his truck. SWAT swarmed the property, making the gruesome discovery of Ashley Doolittle, who had been shot 3 times in the back of the head, inside the white Dodge truck, and took Flores into custody.
In the back of the head, so meaning she wasn't even facing him.
Yeah. Fucking dick.
It's a
So
fucked up way to kill someone.
I do remember this on the news, by the way. Because if you're from Berthoud, we're very connected. And I'm like one of a handful that left.
Yeah.
A lot of people stayed. So during his interview, Flores initially told police Ashley had been accidentally shot twice as he tried to wrestle the gun away from her after she grabbed the gun from him. After she grabbed the gun from the back seat of his truck and pointed it at her own head. All right. After then, he stated that he had shot her a 3rd time to end her suffering. Okay.
Let me call the 911
like,
right
holy
now.
shit, what just happened? Yeah, okay.
She's not a horse.
Right?
I know, right?
Like I
Fucking
literally
dick.
just thought like she's not a dog. Like
Yeah.
Jesus.
you don't just
And they're barely 18. This is why kids shouldn't have access to guns or be shown. Anyway. Being challenged on his version of events, Flores quickly admitted that he, in fact, had grabbed the gun and shot Ashley twice in the back of the head as she looked out his passenger window after glaring at him during their conversation. Then, when she did not die instantly as he had assumed she would, he shot her again.
What?
It was later discovered that Flores took the single-action revolver, she puts in quotes, think old Western revolver-type gun where you have to cock the weapon prior to each shot. Wow. Used in the shooting from his father's locked gun cabinet the morning of the murder. So he took the gun from his dad's. Yeah. Cell phone records showed a message from Ashley's phone to Flores stating, and to quote her, "I am not meeting you today," which investigators believed was sent by Flores himself shortly after Ashley's death in an effort to start covering his tracks. Flores eventually pled not guilty to the murder of Ashley, but was eventually found guilty of her kidnapping and murder in 2017. He was served a life in prison plus an additional 32 years for his heinous crimes. That's horrible.
That is horrible.
Okay, in an effort to end this horrendous story on a not so grave note, I thought I would, Breanne says, I thought it would be best to conclude this story by highlighting Ashley. Oh, I love that.
I love that too.
So Ashley was born and raised in Colorado, growing up in Lafayette. Lafayette is a town that's right off of 36, which 36 is a highway that basically spans from from Denver to Boulder. It is a very intense highway. But Lafayette is actually a really, really cute town. But I do think that they had like a whole bunch of fires last year. Did that happen in Lafayette? I think so. Anyway, so she grew up in Lafayette, but then moved to Loveland, which, if you remember, Loveland was the town right after Berthoud on the way to Fort Collins. So her mother describes Ashley as happy, funny, kind, humble, hardworking, and full of life. Someone who saw the good in everybody and loved everything horses and the Western way of life, which is so Berthoud. So Ashley was a very accomplished writer and has won many championships while participating in the Boulder County 4-H program, which is what I did. I did Larimer County 4-H program. Anybody do 4-H? Did you guys do 4-H at all? No, from Texas? No, I don't think you knew about 4-H.
I knew about 4-H.
Oh, you did?
There was 4-H in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't.
I think there's another
I just didn't
program
do it.
like I don't know. I think there's some other program.
I think there's a couple of like that.
All right, so she won many championships while participating in the Boulder County 4-H program and had been named the 2016 Boulder County Fair and Rodeo Lady in Waiting. So after her graduation from Berthoud High School in 2016, Ashley was beyond excited to continue her education at CSU, Colorado State University, in Fort Collins, where she had been accepted into the agricultural business program. This journey would have allowed her to grow her love of agriculture, which she had already been nurturing after being involved with FFA, Future Farmers of America. That's what I was thinking, at Berthoud High School, and helping to found the Thompson FFA chapter. And our school district was Thompson. Anyway, it seems only right to end my telling of this terrible tragedy with the note that after Ashley was so wickedly taken from this world, that she would be I never say this word right. Posthumously.
I think just posthumously, but I might be wrong.
Posthumously. Posthumously, I think it's right.
Oh my God, did I do it?
Brandon.
I did it.
Wow. Crowned queen for the 2017 Boulder County Fair and Rodeo. So they crowned her queen that next following year. So recognized and remembered by the community and life she loved so much.
It's so sad.
So it is worth noting that Berthoud had 0 murders from 2006 to 2013, which is interesting because, what about prior to that? Because I don't remember anything prior to that either, which is when I was in high school and middle school.
Yeah, I'm sure there was, but you were also so young that how would you know?
Yeah, like how would I have known? Well, just because everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
Like it was, like we had two kids die while I was in high school from a car wreck because they went and got drunk at lunch. And drove back to school and like hit a ditch and flew into a truck, and it was awful. 3 kids in there, 2 of them died. And that was like in 2002 or 3 or something like that. That was a big deal, but they were also like I was in class with them.
Yeah.
But anyway, Breanne writes, FYI, as this occurred after I had graduated and moved away, I knew about this tragedy. However, I was not too familiar with the details. She said, as a result, and to give credit where credit is due, I gathered my information from citydata.com, biggestUScities.com, and articles from CBS written by Dylan Thomas, the Denver Post, which pulled from the Loveland Reporter Herald, and the Coloradan, written by Casa Niedringhaus. I don't know. Most importantly, I obtained the information from the Ashley Doolittle Foundation website, which I highly recommend everyone to visit to learn about and support, if able, their fantastic cause, advocating for the prevention of and bringing awareness to domestic violence.
Oh, I love that.
Which I think is fantastic. So Ashley Doolittle Foundation. And that's the story.
How crazy.
Sent in by Breanne of her Homotown murder.
Like, one, killing somebody is awful.
Yeah.
But shooting them in the back of the head where it's more unexpected. I mean, granted, killing anybody is awful anyways, but shooting her in the back of the head is like, fuck you.
But it was also already planned. If he got the gun from his dad's...
Oh, yeah, he knew he was going to do that.
He knew he was going to fucking kill her, which is like, just let her fuck you.
And then trying
go.
to hide it, like, just admit to it. At that point, just admit to it. You're not going to get away with it.
No, well, even like sending a text to him from her phone, like, you were at your...
Yeah,
you're on your property.
It's like what you said.
Pinpoint that.
It's like what you said one episode. It's not premeditated. It's post-meditated.
Pre and post.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up. Yeah, I do remember this happening, but something happened not too long after that. I thought it was the same case, but some kid did something and then died by suicide in our high school too, like in the auditorium, I think, which is horrible. So there's been some weird shit.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And And it's kind of funny because for me, like, I don't even know any murders that happen in Terryville, Connecticut, but I'm sure there have been.
Yeah. I mean, I will say Berthoud was a really great place to grow up. Even going through all the things that we went through in our home life, I still have friends.
Yeah,
from
you
high
still
school
talk
now.
to a lot of
We're
people from
pretty
high school,
tight.
and I'm like, I don't talk to anyone.
Like we're planning our 20. Oh my god, we're planning our 20-year reunion right now. That's supposed to happen like in May or June of next year, 2024, because I graduated in 2004. And yeah, a couple of us are planning it for our whole class, and we have a whole group and on Facebook which I think is probably common at this point. But Facebook was not a thing when I graduated high school. Social media was definitely not. I barely had a cell phone that didn't text. Like it was a very different world than Friends. But yeah, it was a cool town. I mean, it was very country, which I actually did like. I didn't like the farm life. Wasn't my favorite. But
you're a slightly
I'm a country boy kind of at heart. I love my
cowboy
truck and country music and being a man sometimes. But it was a cool place. It was a pretty good community. I think back in the day before the Trumps and all this bullshit that we're kind of going through now, people were it was a conservative town because I grew up that way, and I grew up Republican, really, because that was how I even voted the first time I voted. But it was different then.
Yeah.
And it was just I don't know. It was cool to grow up there.
Yeah.
I was a weird kid, though. I was like half punk, half country, half theater. It was really fucking weird.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get murdered there.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad that I never met this Flores character. But yeah, sad shit. But yeah, Homotown murder from Breanne. Thank you for sending that in.
Thank you, Breanne. That's awesome.
And that's just a short little sweet little tidbit episode for
you. And again,
you.
if you have your own Homotown murder that you want to send in, just write up a little synopsis and send it over, and we'll
read it just like we did this
talk
one.
it to you.
Talk it to you.
Yes.
We're gonna talk it to you.
We're gonna talk it right to you.
Any closing arguments from either side here?
Arguments.
Anna.
Not really an argument. Just domestic violence is like the main murder, like run of the mill murder that you're gonna see, and it's really like I was looking at murders for my hometown, and I was like, damn, all of these are domestic violence.
Yeah,
which is no joking matter.
No,
right?
not
We
at
always
all.
say murder is not funny. We just kind of are. But yeah, domestic violence is no joke. I mean, that is, and it's primarily, I would say almost always, men attacking women.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
just
I don't remember what the stat was, but it was like in 2020, one of the most Googled questions was like how to kill your wife.
what the fuck?
Yeah, well, everybody's just trapped at home, not doing anything, going
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, even the domestic violence cases that came out of 2020 were
They were a
lot.
lot. Yeah. God, even just I would love to look up like the ratio of divorce, even from 2020, because
Oh
people
yeah, I'm
had
sure
to
it was
stay.
huge.
We were lucky that we just loved being around each other all the time. That I just didn't. It was enjoyable, but I mean, not going through COVID or any of that shit, but being resetting and being alone. I think was actually, but. Domestic violence is awful. And think about this: these guys were 18.
Yeah.
The age does not matter.
No, it doesn't.
And I would even, think about like how many high school relationships are built in that kind of stuff too, because
gosh.
boys are not.
This actually reminds me.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do this for a Homotown murder. But the restaurant that I worked at in 2020, because I went to NYU and then I moved home during COVID, and my parents were like, get a job. Doesn't matter that there's a pandemic, you gotta go get a job. So I was waiting tables at this restaurant, and I remember when I moved back to New York City, my manager was like, be careful, and I was like, oh, COVID, like I'm not gonna be going out that much, blah blah blah, because I thought he was talking about COVID, but he was like, no, I mean like the crime in New York City, it's horrible. And I was like, okay, the crime here is just as bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just a bigger city.
Yeah.
And then literally like 2 weeks after I moved, one of the employees got shot in the parking lot of that restaurant that I worked at. And it was a domestic violence situation.
Oh my gosh.
It was like a jealous ex-boyfriend.
And this was in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I have always been an advocate of if you don't want to be with me, all good.
Right.
I will
Leave.
move on.
Right.
Like,
Like
I'm
nobody
not-
has to die because you are insecure about yourself and you feel like you
No.
must end their life because of
Yeah.
them not wanting to be with you.
Here's some relationship advice in general. This is something that when Brandon and I started dating, that I said, and it was because I had experienced it in my past and I just did not want to live this way in general. But I was like, okay, there's somebody's always going to be hotter. Somebody's always going to be better, more cool, more smart, whatever the case would be. And I was like, but you're choosing to be with me. So if you see somebody that's like that or whatever, let's talk about it. I'm like, we can look at people and be like, wow, they're very attractive, or look at that ass, like whatever it could be. We can celebrate the attraction of people in general.
Yeah.
And so don't hide it, right?
Yeah.
Let's not do that. But then I was also like, but if you ever are like, man, I want to be with that human more, just tell me.
Yeah.
And we'll break it off. It's all good.
Yeah.
I don't want us to be in any sort of weird whatever. So I think that because we've always been fully transparent, that's probably what aided in our deeper
Oh, I agree.
connection, I think, in general. Because I was like, we're not going to play these fucking games. So
Yeah.
we'll be walking down the street and it's gray sweatpants season. And we're like, wow, that dude's got a big dick. And then we'll laugh about it and we're both like, woo, okay. And then we move on. So no one's like secretly saying something inside of their head like, oh man, I wish I could suck that dick or whatever.
Right.
like just say it out loud. It's fine.
Yeah.
And so relationship advice, just full
Yeah.
transparency.
But
And don't be weird about it.
Yeah, but that's easier for us to say as gay men
I know.
than a straight man who is insecure about himself
True.
and having any kind of jealousy. Like that's
Yeah, I guess
hard.
that's
So I mean, if you're
gay relationship
if you're in a relationship that's abusive,
Get out of it.
Get out. There's a lot of
go
resources.
Tell somebody. Yeah.
that it's out there to help and assist.
And
nobody is
believe-
worth your own life.
No, but also believe what people tell you who they are. When they show you who they are, believe them. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people don't typically change
No.
unless they work really hard at doing it, but they have to first admit their issues. And men are aggressive and possessive. And
Yeah, if a man ever hits you in any way, like leave immediately.
Yeah,
Don't
agreed.
wait for it to get worse.
Yeah.
no, and don't hope for something to be different because it's unlikely.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's scary and it's shitty, and it clearly happens at any age. I like barely 18.
Any
just
age and
graduating
any
from high
place.
school. What?
Yeah.
Oh, this poor girl, Ashley Doolittle. I love her last name. Yeah. Anyway, Berthoud, Colorado. That's that. So, Breanne, thank you for sending in your Homotown murder. I know that you're from a couple places, so you should maybe look at Littleton, Colorado. But also, I think she was born in like Reno, Nevada, which I'm sure has some shady shit.
I'm sure it has plenty of sketchy murders in Reno.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Good time. That's it.